Buccaneers lose to the Washington Commanders 23-20 on a last-second field goal. It is the second time in the past 4 years they have lost on a last-second field goal at home in the playoffs. The Rams game, which I was at, was a few years ago. This one not quite as painful as that one because that was to the eventual Super Bowl champs. We had the tied for the best record in football. This one sucks, no getting around it. Let's start these videos off, as I always like to do, with giving credit to the Commanders' offense. First, what I do here is if you're new here, I think, playoffs, there might be a new section of people here. I like to go through the games, talk about my thoughts on it. I am a Tampa Bay fan. You see I'm wearing the Baker Mayfield jersey. First game I wore this jersey for, and didn't go well, unfortunately. Let's give credit to the Commanders, who... Jaden Daniels is something else, isn't he? I mean, first off, the rushing stats will not do him justice. He had 13 carries for 36 yards, only 2.8 yards per carry, but the key runs he had and scrambles outside the pocket, Tampa Bay did a great job at stopping the run in this game. They just did. The numbers were very good. The tape was very good, but when he needed a play, like at the end there, Kalijah Kancey would have loved to see him make that tackle, but Daniels is something else. I know his numbers aren't otherworldly. I thought he was great. Terry McLaurin was great. This offense is really good, and the defense made plays when they had to, right? They definitely did. Bobby Wagner is a great player, so no beef with the Commanders. They deserved to win a playoff game with how they played, and they did, so give credit to them. Yeah, this was a tough loss. This was. Weirdly, not the toughest loss. I remember last year against Detroit, I was just devastated after Baker threw that pick. And don't get me wrong, I'm not thrilled with this loss. I think the reason why maybe I'm not as devastated is I don't know what the ceiling of this team was. I would have loved to have a chance against Philadelphia, but with no Jamel Dean in there, who we really missed in that fourth quarter, I don't know if we would have had a chance. Maybe Dean would have came back, but I don't know if he would have. I don't know how well that would have gone. I know we beat Philadelphia earlier this year, but they didn't have Devonta Smith or A.J. Brown. I think it would have been tough. And even if we beat them or we beat Detroit, I know we beat them earlier this year, but again, I just don't know what it was a weird season because we had such high highs, beating Detroit, beating Philadelphia, going to overtime against Kansas City without Mike Evans, right, and obviously without Chris Godwin. But then there was just so many low lows. That Dallas loss was brutal. So it's tough. I don't think this was a horrible performance, but we got to talk about just the way they beat themselves in this game. I mean, there were just so many mistakes in this game by Tampa Bay, right? So many mistakes. So many penalties that hurt us. I mean, the penalties was part of the difference, and even the key fourth down stop, which we'll get into. That should have been a penalty there on Levante David. We got lucky with the no call. So many bad penalties, and to me, the plays of the game were Tampa Bay gets the fourth down stop. We have a 3-point lead, or was it a 4-point lead actually? Yeah, we have a 4-point lead. All we have to do is march down the field, score a touchdown, which isn't easy, but march down the field, score a touchdown. It's over. The game's just over at that point. If you can't do that, at least get a field goal. You're up 7. You feel really good about yourself in that situation. They fumble a handoff, a fake handoff. I don't think it was supposed to be an actual handoff to McMillan. They just screw up the timing. Baker loses the football. McMillan runs into him. I don't know whose fault it was. We probably will never know whose fault that really was. But they screw that up. Washington recovers. They convert on a fourth down right after. Which also, why isn't Zion McCollum on Terry McLaurin on that play? I don't get that. Why are we putting a backup on their best receiver? McLaurin's going to take advantage. You know he is. So that sucked. That was not good. You're down 3 points. But the way this game is going, down 3 points at the ball doesn't seem so bad, right? They get this long drive. They get into the 11-yard line. It's third down and inches. And you're in this weird spot where Graham Barton snaps the ball too early. So now they aren't ready for a play. They lose 3 yards, and it's okay, if you got stopped for no gain, you probably go for it. Here, Todd Bowles just isn't going to go for it there. The crowd booed. You probably should go for it there, right? I mean, we all know, just the way the game is going, do you really think you're stopping Daniels? Granted, they almost did. They got a third down. They almost did. But like then on the third down, they let up a wide open receiver, so they didn't really almost stop him. They probably should have gone for that, but really they should have never been in that situation to begin with. They should have gotten the snap right, and two completely unforced errors just screwed up the game. And that's, I mean, give credit to Washington. They made basically no mistakes. Like they didn't, maybe make as many big plays as they're used to, but they limited the mistakes to practically zero. Tampa Bay didn't do that. Sometimes in these big games, it's not about who makes the plays, it's about who doesn't make the bad plays. And gotta give credit to Washington for not making the bad plays. Yeah, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. There was a lot of good in this game. Mike Evans completely destroyed Marshawn Lattimore. That was fun. Bucky Irving was really good in this game. Like, there's positive takeaways. With this season, it is a disappointing ending. It just is. And my thoughts are a little all over the place. I'm recording this right after it happens, so doing what I can here. But yeah, I mean, several thoughts. For one thing, this is why you can't go into a season with no defensive back depth. And listen, you're not always going to have the injuries they have, but like, look around the league. Detroit has like 13 guys on IR on defense. I don't even think that's an exaggeration. Their defense is still playing, right? You need depth if you're going to be competitive, and they don't have depth in the secondary, and it hurt them. That was one of the things that killed them all season. It killed them last season. If you remember, Jamel Dean, I believe it was, got injured against Detroit, and then Zion McCollum, who wasn't the Zion McCollum we know now, wasn't very good last year, gave up a 3rd and 14 to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Depth matters, and if you're not getting depth, you're going to struggle. In the draft, you have to address depth. You just do. There's some good. Let's talk some good. Baker Mayfield was awesome this year. I know he gave up, he turned the ball over too much. Has to be better at that. But man, was he good this year. And even in this game, with the exception of the couple mistakes, which I don't even know if either were his fault, he made some real plays, running over Bobby Wagner to start that 2-minute drill. Many great throws, most of them to Mike Evans here. Only 18 passes, but over 10 yards per attempt. It was a weird game. They just didn't have a ton of plays because of how long of drives these two teams like to run. So overall score isn't too high, but I thought Baker was really good in this game. You have Mike Evans, who's still playing great. Jalen McMillan is a player. Cade Otton is a player. Bucky Irving is a future star, I think. This offensive line's been really good. I would like a left guard replacement, but I mean, you have Tristan Wirfs and Luke Gedeke, one of the incredible tackle combo. You have Graham Barton, who I thought had a really good rookie year. Cody Mock at right guard, I thought he was great this year. Like last year, I was like, why did we even draft this guy? He played really well. Maybe it's just being next to a couple good players, but the Buccaneers have a good offense, and you would love to see Chris Godwin come back. I don't see how you let him go. I mean, if you let him go, he would instantly be one of the biggest free agent signings, probably the biggest free agent to hit the market. You have the opportunity to, I think you would want to be back, like, make it happen, similar to the Mike Evans thing. You don't want to let him go. You get him back with the season he was having. Hopefully he bounces back from the injury, and this offense could be incredible. They got to improve the defense. That's just it. And Todd Bowles, who there's going to be a lot of takes with Todd Bowles, whether you want him fired or not. He's not getting fired. He made the playoffs 3 straight years, won the division 3 straight years. He has tied John Gruden for the most division victories as a head coach for Tampa Bay. That is not something you run out the door. I get it. You don't want to let being good get in the way of being great. And the question is, what is the ceiling with this team in general, with this franchise? Because the NFC South isn't going to suck forever. Michael Penix looks good. Bryce Young looks good. The Saints, they got some issues, but the NFC South isn't going to suck forever, right? So you've taken advantage of it the past 2 years. This year, they felt like a playoff team. But, what is the ceiling with this roster? It's a very real question. And they're going to have to start hitting on their defensive draft picks. There's a lot of, quite frankly, high draft picks that haven't really performed defensively. So that's where you have to go. That's kind of my quick off-season thoughts. But yeah, as for the game, I can't believe I'm waiting this long to mention it. But again, a bit all over the place here. the fact that the kick doinks into, like, that's just a killer. I mean, why do you have to rip my heart out right there at the end? You couldn't just let it go straight through. I thought, like, oh, is it? Man, unbelievable. What a disappointing end to. I'll say this too. I should have said this earlier. A good season. You make the playoffs. Listen, I know maybe some younger Bucs fans are starting to get used to this. 5 straight years. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when I started watching them in 2008. They didn't make the playoffs until 2020 when I was watching. So I saw 12 straight years of missed playoffs. They won the Super Bowl, which was awesome. They've now won 4 straight divisions. In that stretch of winning 4 straight divisions, only 2 playoff wins. You would like that to be better. But again, I mean, one of those years we were 8. The Brady's last year, we weren't very good. That year we didn't, that was just that was the one year where it's like that was purely due to a bad division. Last year was kind of due to a bad division, in some part. And then this year, I thought we were a playoff caliber team who still played in a pretty bad division. That's kind of how I viewed it. But yeah, I mean, as a whole, again, Commanders are really good. We're the first team to lose to Jaden Daniels in the playoffs. We will not be the last team to lose to Jaden Daniels in the playoffs. He's going to be a problem in this conference for a while. But I don't know. Disappointing end to the season, but it not a bad season by any stretch of the imagination. Is at least how I see it. So yeah, I guess this is it. I almost don't want to go. I enjoy doing these every week, and now I won't have another time to do it. But I will say that I do the podcast twice a week with Kyle. So if you want to hear my thoughts, in fact, I'm going to be going live pretty shortly after this to give more of my thoughts on this game and every other game. So check that out if you're interested in that. Still going to be posting a ton of content on this channel. Just no more Buccaneers fan reactions until next year. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Everyone, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you think this was a good season, like I'm saying, with a bitter end? Or do you say, hey, I mean, because it is fair to say, like, at a certain point, when do we stop going one and done or winning a game and then getting knocked out in the divisional round and then saying, hey, good season? But I don't know. I still think there is room for improvement. How do you get better? Re-sign Chris Godwin. That's step number 1. And then work on depth defensively. That's what I think. What do you think? Let me know. And please, Liam Cohen, please don't go. Just don't. That's my final thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.